연주 시작하겠습니다.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my lecture recital. Today's lecture will focus on Mozart Overture. We will take the Overture from the Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, and the Magic Flute as our starting point to discuss some of the key characteristics of Mozart's operatic music and his unique compositional style. Let me briefly introduce the structure of today's recital. I will begin with the origin and the development of overtures, discussing their function in opera, provide a brief historical background, and then dive into three works in detail. The overture started as a part of opera and oratorio history. Its name came from France and then later spread to countries like Germany and England. Early forms include many different styles, like Lully's French overture with its slow, fast, slow structure, and Scarlatti's Italian overture, which was fast, slow, fast. And by the mid-18th century, Gluck added drama to overtures, connecting them better to opera and making them what we now consider a true overture. And then Mozart took it further, using overtures to show characters and hint at conflicts in the story, making them an important part of opera openings. And before diving to today's discussion, let's take a moment to consider the role of an overture. The overture isn't just a musical introduction, it just sets the stage for the opera and offering the audience a glimpse of the story. The characters and the emotions they're about to experience. To better understand this, I'd like to explore four key functions of the overture. First, the overture acts as the opera's opening statement, so it sets the mood, whether it is cheerful, intense, or sorrowful, and gets the audience emotionally ready for what's going on. In many overtures, you will hear musical themes or ideas that reflect different personalities of key characters or the opera's central conflicts. For example, a very light, playful melody that might suggest a comedic character, while a darker, dramatic melody can hint at tension or tragedy. And the third point is, overture often summarize the opera's key ideas in a compact form, which is composers use melodies, harmonies, and the rhythms to highlight the opera's big themes like love, betrayal, or justice. It's a way to give the audience a sense of what the opera is really about, musically and emotionally. And the last point is, sometimes the overture drops hints about what's going to happen later in opera. So you might hear motifs or musical phrases that come back during key moments of the story. So this creates a sense of anticipation and helps the audience understand the story. And in the second half of the 18th century, the European opera scene was pretty complex. While Italian opera seria was on the decline, but opera buffa was thriving and started blending in some elements of opera seria. And at the same time, Italian opera, though still important, was facing more challenges. Gluck's reforms, the growing strength of German composers with their instrumental advantages, and also the creation of opera buffa in different languages all play a role in reshaping opera. From this view, Mozart's opera show how he managed to bring together all these different type of styles happening across Europe at the time. The Austrian Emperor Joseph II was inspired by Enlightenment ideas and created a more open political and social atmosphere. And this gave artists and thinkers in Vienna more freedom to work and create. And Mozart's opera, The Marriage of Figaro, premiered in December 1786. The libretto was written by Lorenzo da Ponte and was based on a play by French writer Pierre Beaumarchais. And thanks to the success of Figaro, Mozart and da Ponte worked together again, and Don Giovanni premiered in Prague in October 1787. It became even more popular than Figaro. And on September 30, 1791, the Magic Flute premiered successfully at the theater in the Vienne, and with Mozart himself conducting and Schikander playing the role of the bird catcher. So now let's talk about the musical characteristic of Mozart opera overtures. I will discuss it from these aspects. The use of sonata form, the relationship between tonality and drama, motifs or themes linked to characters or scenes, contrast as a compositional strategy, and symbolic significance embedded in the overture. As we can see, the first thing to look at is the structure of the piece. And three pieces is largely based around sonata form. Most people remember that it consists of three sections, usually exposition, development, and recapitulation. Within that, the certain rules that it is followed. The reason to point out the abridged form of the Marriage of Figaro, that is, this piece doesn't quite follow actually as you see on screen. If we compare to the other two pieces, sonata form, you will notice that this will be divided into an exposition and recapitulation easily. Other than a few bars that were labeled as transition 2, there is no real development section. And this transition isn't the development anyway. So it is just the link. In terms of keys, you can see this does follow a traditional format, mostly based around the tonic and the dominant. And Mozart's choice of structure in The Marriage of Figaro shows his great understanding of how music and drama work together. As an opera buffa, the opera has a fast pace and lots of dramatic tension. So by leaving out the development section, Mozart made the overture shorter and more direct, avoiding anything that might feel too long or slow. So this makes the music more exciting and keeps the energy flowing, which is perfect for drawing the audience in right from the start. This chart shows how Mozart used tonality to connect music with drama in his operas. In The Marriage of Figaro, the overture is in D major, a key that creates a very bright, cheerful mood, and it matches the opera's fun and lively atmosphere. But the quick shifts between major and minor also reflect the underlying tensions like class strugglings, relationships, and the social issues. For Don Giovanni, Mozart chose D minor, a key that feels dark, serious, and intense. And this fits the main character that Don Giovanni, we know that life is full of desire and trouble and eventual tragedy. So the music creates a sense of danger and drama that match the story's dark tone. So in the magic flute, E flat major gives the music a noble and grand feeling, suggesting victory, goodness, and purity. This key connects to the opera themes of wisdom, virtue, and personal growth, while still making space for its magical and fantastic elements. So Mozart's use of tonality in these works to help set the mood, reflect the characters, and bring the story to life. Now we really go deeply into the score. The motifs or themes also link to the characters or scenes. This slide analyzes the first subject from the marriage of Figaro. It begins with a presto theme characterized by its sparkling and joyful nature, reflecting the subtitle, The Joyful Day. Key musical elements include like motive A here, which use lower auxiliaries and creates a sense of movement, and a rising passing note sequence, and also chromatic rising that add tension and interest. The falling sequence from the last 3 bars emphasize the dominant note, creating contrast and solution. The theme is structured with octave texture, built around primary chords with terraced dynamics and the diatonic harmony. So these elements give the music its lively and celebratory character. Here shows a segment from the second subject of the overture to the marriage of Figaro. The passage is set the dominant key, and it showcases a close 3-part texture and creating a rich harmonic interaction between the lines. Here are some key motifs. Motive B and motive C are featured, and there is a descending sequence which adds momentum and drives the music forward. You can also see imitation between the instrumental lines, where one part echoes another. And the footing piano here, markings also indicate sudden changes in dynamics, contributing to the dramatic contrast. And the violin play a key role in delivering these motifs, using conjunct motion. And then around bar 65 here, you can observe an imitation of motive D, demonstrating how Mozart weaves thematic material through interaction between instruments. At the very beginning of the Don Giovanni, we can see from here the D to A motive in D minor set a very tragic tone, foreshadowing Don Giovanni's inevitable downfall. So this is very beginning of the overture, just show the symbolism of fate and death. So the syncopation here of the string and the sustained note of winds shows the core of dramatic conflicts. We know that after the inter part of the overture, it changed to D minor when it comes to the first tema. So this contrast also highlights Don Giovanni's outward charm and versus his inner depravity, enhancing the opera's dramatic tension. Mozart also sometimes make contrast as a compositional strategy, and there is a big contrast between registers in Don Giovanni. The melodies of the first and second violin rise and fall between high and low registers. Mozart used Neapolitan chord 5-1 to make dynamic contrast. And pay attention to this part. which go deeply into violin's lowest register. So, and this part of Don Giovanni's overture, which actually shows the dynamic and the intensity contrast in melody line. A chromatic ascending figures shows by scales in both the flute and the first violins. A crescendo lasting half a bar and then following by a sudden diminuendo in the next half bar. So this dynamic intensity contrast creates a sense of tension in the atmosphere. The melody line also played forwards afterwards in scene 15, which is really interesting. In scene 15 of the opera, the flute and first violin once again play the melody line that was hidden in the overture, and accompanying the lines of the stage troupe. As a theme of that, it serves as a key element to Don Giovanni's ultimate tragic conclusion. From orchestration composition of Don Giovanni, it shows almost everywhere in the score. So I just pick up one specific part like here. We enter into the key of A major, where fortissimo, 4 orchestra chord is heard, tutti, and immediately followed by a descending scale played softly by the first and second violins. And we can see here, this contrast also foreshadows the duality of Don Giovanni's character, enhancing the opera's dramatic tension. The second theme consists of a series of sharply contrasting, like question and answer. A very firm question with an extremely masculine tone, followed by an answer that is more delicate, played only by the violins and the violas. The overture to the magic flute carries deep symbolic significance, reflecting the opera's Masonic idea. It highlights themes like gaining knowledge, separate riches, and the victory of wisdom and goodness. There are 3 points that I want to talk about. First is the number 3. Second, a use of a fugal structure. And third, display accent. The overture of the magic flute features a powerful repetition of chords played 3 times, which connect to the Masonic traditions. And in Freemasonry, the number 3 holds deep meaning, like representing spiritual growth and the journey towards enlightenment. And this repetition reflects the theme of invitation and progress towards greater understanding. And we can see the stepwise motif of the first violins combined with the 4 orchestra tutti symbolize the various stages of the enlightened journey, like transitioning from darkness to light. Here I analyze simply the 3 chords. The first chord is E flat major, that root position, simple and pure. That reflects the Prince Tamino's childlike innocence, and then naively accepting the lives of the 3 ladies and the Queen of the Night. And the second chord is C minor, a change in harmonic color to a minor chord. It represents Tamino's sorrow and doubt in the middle of the opera, symbolizing his reflection on good and evil. And the third chord, that's E flat major, that's second inversion, returning to the home key. And this signifies enlightenment, symbolizing Tamino's truth through trials, the restoration of balance and his transformation into a stronger and wiser ruler. As we can see, the Magic Flute Overture is the fugal sonata movement of the sort that Mozart had composed for the final of his Jupiter Symphony 3 years earlier. I used 3 colors to enlighten the different subjects. Red is the first subject, and the yellow is the second, and the green is the third. And through this fugato structure, we can easily find out that each exposition followed with a tonal answer reaches exactly 5th degree. And the last point, Mozart marked the weak beats as strong and the strong beats as soft, creating tension in the fugato subject. And this inverted dynamic also subtly reflects a contemplation of good and evil. Mozart combined the style of opera buffa and opera seria beautifully, and using detailed music and storytelling to show the emotion and the thoughts of the characters. His opera often explored themes about human nature and social strugglings, which will feel relevant today. So unlike the romantic overtures, Mozart's overtures stand alone as complete pieces of music. And even now, these overtures are often performed on their own as full orchestral works. So this is my reference of today's lecture part. And now the lecture part is over. Thank you.